Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. And another heavyweight news and note smash-up video today, starting with Jarrell Big Pharmacy Miller, who's calling out Anthony Joshua. So as we know, Miller is in the UK, he's in the Tyson Fury training camp. So he says here in his post, where he's also, you can see the video section, the Union Jack here and all that sort of stuff, but he says, I'm in England training with Tyson Fury, and I heard Usyk got an injury and AJ thinking about running it back. No need to think, let's run this back. You and your promoter Eddie Hearn, punk ass scallywags, come on Applejack. So I tidied that up slightly, continues Big Baby back. Well, he's not quite back, so he's on a drug ban until at least the middle of June. But that is only applicable in the United States. So he could potentially box elsewhere, but the likelihood of that, anyone touching him, unlikely. So what's this post really about? Is Usyk injured? I think unlikely. What's Jarrell Miller's intel like? Probably not fantastic. And I think this is more about trying to build his name back up ahead of an eventual return. So he's trying to make the best of a situation. Being in the UK, call out Joshua. Obviously, that was a fight that never occurred because Jarrell Miller took 63,000 performance-enhancing drugs ahead of what would have been a several million-dollar payday against Joshua. But that all went by the wayside, and then later, about 18 months later, he fails another test, and that was against a fight to be against Jerry Forrest. So Jarrell Miller, I think he's just trying to keep his profile up, build that back up, and let people know that he's still here. He's still someone to not be trifled with in a heavyweight division, etc. I think we know someone's going to take a risk on him at some point because the guy, big mouth, big character, and you know he knows how to sell himself. He's kind of like a much more successful version of Christopher Lovejoy, and he knows how to fight too. But how good will he be off the juice? Anyone's guess. But Jarrell Miller still out until the middle of June. I don't expect to see him back anywhere, fighting anywhere in the world until that point. But yeah, you can't sort of fault Miller for his trash game because he is quite good at it. And speaking of Anthony Joshua, he's got the Danish heavyweight Kem Ljungquist in his training camp. So he is one of a number of southpaws who Joshua has been working with in recent times. Another one that's also put some stuff up on social media in recent days, Thomas Carty. Is the opponent changing for the Bulgarian Kubrat Pulev, who's set to return to the ring in May? His originally announced opponent was Andrei Fedosov, but BoxRec now having Jerry Forrest listed as the opponent. And actually, based on recent form, maybe Forrest is a bit of a half step up from where Andrei Fedosov is. And the fact that Jerry Forrest has had a reasonably good run in the past couple of years, ran Michael Hunter really close and arguably won that fight, only escaped with a draw, and obviously had that epic fight with Zhang Zhilei just a couple of fights back, where he was dropped in each of the first 3 rounds, battled back as Zhang faded badly. And arguably, you know, he did well to get the draw, and some people did have him winning that fight. That's a bit of a heat check for where Pulev is at, because if he still wants to contend in the heavyweight division, you got to get by a guy like Forrest, who's somewhere around top 20, top 25-ish, there or thereabouts. And if he struggles, then people will be asking questions. But if he looks good, it'll raise another question. Well, who does he face sort of up at a higher level? But I don't mind that if that is in fact now the fight. Still listed as Fedosov on the Fight TV website, where they do show these Triller cards. Triller obviously owning Fight. The South African heavyweight Kevin Lerena has broken into the WBA rankings with the latest iteration of the top 15 out. So he is entered at number 13, and that was after beating Bogdan Dinu. And Lerena's actually posted some clips that someone had taken from the crowd. So a different angle for you to see here of this win over Bogdan Dinu. The British heavyweight Hosea Stewart has again logged a very, very, very big weight ahead of his second pro fight against Phil Williams. So after his first pro fight, which was at the end of 2021, he weighed 345 pounds for that one, but he vowed after the fight to be in better condition, and he didn't mean to come in that heavy, and he said he was going to be trying to, come in closer to about 300 pounds or so. He has failed dismally if that was in fact his intent for this fight. 344 pounds, and this is a massive red flag. Hosea Stewart does look to have decent skills, decent power, but the, very, very heavy weight here is a concern. You're going to get away with it against guys like Phil Williams and other sort of low-level journeymen, but climbing the ranks, that's just going to be a disadvantage. And judging by his first fight, which was against Matt Metzis, who actually is Matty Harris is facing on the same card that Stewart is on. I mean, it wasn't like Stewart was going in there and just blasting him out and putting in a performance where you're like, wow, this guy's so heavy-handed to the point where you're like, carries this weight well, he needs that. I think, 344, 345, 2 weights in a row, massive red flag, and I don't think that's going to serve him well in the long run. But obviously at this point, Phil Williams, sort of well-trodden journeyman, he's going to sort of put it on him, probably get him out of there in a couple of rounds. The German heavyweight Tom Schwarz is on his way back in the heavyweight division, so he's had a sort of bumpy couple of years. There were some charges levelled at him for allegedly assaulting a woman, his girlfriend, I believe, but he's trying to brush that off here. So you can see Schwarz is in training at the moment. He's currently preparing for a fight which is going to be on the 9th of April. So I believe he was dropped by his former promoters. He's now been picked up. I'm not exactly sure of the promotional arrangements, but he is returning the 9th of April. And with this sort of change, he's also deleted everything that used to be on his Instagram page. So, yeah, it's interesting when boxers do that, but, I've got my records, so I've got some of his earlier stuff, so it doesn't affect me. But, Schwarz coming back to action. And he's going to be facing Muhammad Ali Durmaz, and that name does seem familiar. He's a journeyman with 30 losses on the record. He's faced Roman Gorst, Peter Kaderu. That's where I recognize the name from. But that should be an easy sort of tick-over win, get back into the ring, get a win under his belt, and maybe a couple of rounds to boot. And rounding out this heavyweight news and notes mashup video, so Damian Knyba pictured at top right of this promo. So he is taking his talents on the road, so leaving Poland, so he's unbeaten at the moment, coming to the United States. He's going to be on this Rising New Stars card, which is going to be in New York on May the 21st. So Knyba coming off a couple of wins recently in Poland where it's fair to say there's been some strange circumstances around the endings of those fights and the sort of action in general. Not necessarily all his fault. Some of his opponents seem to be a little bit keen to find the canvas. But what do you make of it all? Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.